Hare Krishna. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 3, text 2. Vyam mishraneva vyakena buddhim moha yashiva me tad ekam vada nishchitya yena shriyoham apnuyam. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So Arjuna is continuing to ask his question to Krishna, because in second chapter, Krishna told Arjuna about Gyan, a lot about Gyan Yoga. He spoke to him about working with detachment. Arjuna misunderstood how to work with detachment, because he thought, okay, if I have to be Krishna conscious, means I have to give up work and I have to renounce. But here Krishna is telling me you fight, but you're telling me that intelligence is more higher, means Gyan is more higher. So what do I have to do? So Krishna is a sincere student. So he's placing his doubts in front of Krishna. So Arjuna is taking our position. He's taking our position. We have doubts in our mind. What is higher? Following the Gyan path is higher? Or does it mean Krishna consciousness means I have to do nothing? I have to go live in the forest? Or what I have to do? So Krishna is saying, Arjuna is saying, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instruction. Now you decide. Now you tell me what I should do. You are telling me all these choices, but tell me what I have to do. What is good for me? So in the previous chapter, as a prelude to the Bhagavad Gita, many different paths were explained, such as Sankhya Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, control of the senses by intelligence, work without fruitive desire, and the position of the neophyte. This was all presented unsystematically. A more organized outline of the path would be necessary for action and understanding. So because Krishna spoke so many different philosophies together, so he was not able to, Arjuna was a bit confused. He's like, I'm not able to understand. Can you give me a more organized way of what I have to do? What can I do? So Arjuna therefore wanted to clear up these apparently confusing matters so that any common man could accept them without misinterpretation. So why he's saying? So that because we will get confused. Krishna, you're speaking something in Bhagavad Gita. You're speaking something else in Bhagavad Gita. You're saying you take up meditation. Then you're saying you take up Gyan. Then you're saying take up Buddhi Yoga. What I have to do? Can you please tell me? Without misinterpretation. Without misinterpretation, he's saying, means because if we are gonna pick and choose, then we'll just take whatever we think is good. But Arjuna is very sincere. So if we are sincere, we will try to find out what is actually Krishna want. Although Krishna had no intention of confusing Arjuna by any jugglery of words, Arjuna could not follow the process of Krishna consciousness either by inertia or by active service. In other words, by his questions, he's clearing the path of Krishna consciousness for all students who seriously want to understand the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. Does that make sense? Can you resonate with that? Like for our benefit, Krishna is saying we have so many confusions. So for our benefit, now Arjuna is telling Krishna, you clear up. Now, Sri Bhagwan Uvacha. So we can notice in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Vyasadeva, whenever Krishna speaks, he is referred as Sri Bhagwan Uvacha. So Vyasadeva in the full Bhagavad Gita is giving us he's telling us that who is Krishna? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without any doubt. All the time, whenever Krishna begins speaking, Srila Vyasadeva says, Shri Bhagwan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Loke asmin dvivida nishta pura prokta maya nagaha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. So Krishna is telling to Arjuna, oh sinless Arjuna. Arjuna had no sins. He would not do anything which is against the scriptural regulations. Now he's telling Arjuna that there are two classes of people who try to understand the self, who are interested in self-realization. So there are two paths of people who are trying to realize the self. Some of these people, so there are two, right? So one of them is trying to understand the self by empirical, philosophical speculation, means by their own mind. They're taking the strength of their own mind, own efforts. And another by devotional service, means they are depending on Krishna. They are depending on Krishna's mercy, grace. Okay. So in the second chapter, verse 39, so these are the two paths always. Krishna is saying it himself, that for self-realization, some people take the Gyan part and some people take the Bhakti part. Okay. So in the second chapter, verse 39, the Lord explained two kinds of procedures, namely Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. In this verse, the Lord explains the same more clearly. Sankhya Yoga, or the analytical study of the nature of spirit and matter, is the subject matter for persons who are inclined to speculate and understand things by experimental knowledge and philosophy. So this Gyan part, what Krishna is speaking about in Bhagavad Gita, is also called Sankhya Yoga or analytical study. That what is the nature of matter, what is the nature of spirit. And so which kind of people are interested in this? Who want to understand things by experimenting by their philosophy, that I want to understand by my effort. The other class of men work in Krishna consciousness, as it is explained in the 61st verse of the second chapter. The Lord has explained also in the 39th verse that by working in the principles of Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness, one can be relieved from the bonds of action, and furthermore, there is no flaw in the process. So why is the detailed thing given? Is Krishna is explaining that one person is that I want to experiment, that okay, this is matter, this is matter, this is matter, then what will be remaining is spirit. Okay, so that is one way of coming. And another one is, I just accept the authority of Krishna. Krishna is saying, hear and chant. I will do that. That I'm a spirit soul. I'm an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So what happens is that I save myself the time. I save myself a lot of time trying to understand things by experiment. And also if I do the experiment, I may or may not have the perfect answer. For example, if I want to know who's my father, I just go to the mother. The mother will tell me who's my father. So the Vedas are the mother. And what do the Vedas say? That Krishna is the Supreme Father. Now, if I say, I don't want to believe it, I don't want to believe my mother, I'm going to go and ask each and every man in this world, who is my father? Then because I want to experiment. So I will go to each and every man, are you my father? Are you my father? And I might die in that process, and somebody may even lie and cheat me. I will not get the perfect result. But I just have to listen to my mother, what she's saying. And in that way, I can have a loving relationship with my father. Otherwise, I lose out on my relationship with my father because I'm just busy trying to find out who he is. So I'm not able to get the benefit of being in the relationship with him, just wasting my time. Another, I just listen. Who's my father? Hey, mom, who's my dad? Oh, this is my dad. Oh, I love you so much. I love you so much. We have a loving relationship then. So this is what Bhakti Yoga is. So then the same principle is more clearly explained in the 61st verse, that this Buddhi Yoga is to depend entirely on the Supreme, or more specifically on Krishna. And in this way, all the senses can be brought under control very easily. So one is depending on Krishna, Buddhi Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. We depend on Krishna. We engage our senses in the service of Krishna. And that's how we control our senses, because otherwise we cannot control our senses. Therefore, both the yogas are interdependent as religion and philosophy. Religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So Sankhya Yoga and Buddhi Yoga, they both are interdependent. Why? Why they're interdependent? Because one is religion and one is philosophy. What does religion mean? Mean to love God. So if I just have philosophy, but I have no religion, I have no God in that philosophy, then it's just mental speculation. It's just my mind. But if I just have religion without understanding the position of the Supreme Lord, without understanding who God actually is, and so how should I love him? If I don't have that, then it is just a sentiment of fanaticism. So both are needed. Both the Sankhya and the Buddhi Yoga, both are needed. The ultimate goal is Krishna, because philosophers who are also sincerely searching after the absolute truth come in the end to Krishna consciousness. This is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita. The whole process is to understand the real position of the self in relation to the super self. So what is self-realization? I understand who I am. Who am I? And what's my relationship with the Supreme Lord? Because the Supreme Lord is there. That is the real position. That is the real position. So, and if anyone is sincere to understand the absolute truth, is going to come to the point of Krishna consciousness, because Krishna is the absolute truth. The indirect process is philosophical speculation, by which gradually one may come to the point of Krishna consciousness. And the other process is directly connecting everything with Krishna in Krishna consciousness. So one is a very gradual process, and one may or may not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, because our lives are short in this human life, and we can, leave this body at any time, and we don't know what body we'll get. So it's so gradual, and then we might get distracted. But the bhakti process, what is it? Directly informing us, this is the Supreme Lord, engage in bhakti. So of these two paths, the path of Krishna consciousness is better, because it does not depend on purifying the senses by a philosophical process. Krishna consciousness is itself the purifying process. And by the direct method of devotional service, it is simultaneously easy and sublime. So why is Krishna consciousness better? Because we do not need any qualification to start hearing and chanting. It's not that I have to purify myself. It's not that I have to do some prayaschit, or I have to purify my senses, or then I can start doing hearing and chanting. No, we just hear and chant. That is bhakti. So it's a direct process. We do not need to do anything else before coming to the bhakti process. And it is purifying by itself. The more we hear and chant, the more we are getting purified. The more we are being situated in our real position. So it's a direct method, it's an easy method, and it's a sublime method. And this is what is recommended by Krishna himself. He himself is saying, just take devotional service. It's easy and it's sure. Just hear and chant, be Krishna conscious, come back home, back to Godhead. Is that okay? So if there are no questions or comments, we'll stop here for today. So, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.